Our next award is to Professor Robert Earl Miller. The citation is for distinguished contributions to the teaching of mechanics and for the inspiration and guidance he gave undergraduate and graduate students for more than 4 decades. He's a professor emeritus of theoretical and applied mechanics, following a highly respected 35-year career in this college. Professor Miller earned his bachelor's degree in applied electrical engineering and master's and doctoral degrees in theoretical and applied mechanics, all from Illinois. An award-winning and effective educator, he influenced hundreds of undergraduate and graduate engineering students, and he produced 30 doctoral degrees and 43 master's degrees graduates. His students demonstrated their appreciation for Professor Miller by making him an honorary Knight of St. Patrick, successfully nominating him for the Engineering College Advising Award, creating the Robert E. Miller Fund to reward excellence in the teaching of mechanics, and establishing the Robert E. Miller Scholarships and Fellowship Funds to honor and recognize the tremendous impact he had on students. Professor Miller's research focused on numerical analysis of problems in solid mechanics and was widely known for producing students' results that engineers could put into immediate practice. He has been a great supporter of this college. I see him in engineering quad every day, and this campus for over 40 years. That's a long time. It is with great pleasure that I invite Professor Robert Miller to the stage to accept this award.
Thank you very much, Dean Adesida. I've been associated with this college, as you saw here, for a long time. I came here as a freshman in the fall of 1950 and never left. So, things were a little different back then, particularly you see in the paper now they're worried about tuition costs. When I started as a freshman, the tuition here was $40 a semester. And that wasn't the best. The best one was the University of California at Berkeley. It was $0. No tuition at Berkeley for in-state students, of course. I just wanted to say one thing about my background as far as getting me into being a professor. When I was a senior in aeronautical engineering as an undergraduate, the last semester we had what they called a seminar course, which was a 1-hour a week course, and there were about 24 students, and during the semester you had to submit 2 reports. One was a written report on a research topic from the library. That was easy to do because all through our career we had been doing lab reports and stuff like that, so I knew what I would do there. The other one was going to be something very new, and that was we had to research a topic and then get up in front of the class and tell what you had done and explain it. So that was something I had never done, and I know most of the other students had not done as well. Well, there were about 24 students in the class, so the instructor told us there were going to be 2 of us having to do that each period. And you wanted to know who would volunteer to do it the next week. Well, one other student and myself stuck our hands up and volunteered. And the idea was get it out of the way quick. And so I did do it then. And after it was over, I was very happy that I had volunteered early because I didn't have that hanging over me for the rest of the semester. Also doing it the first week, as you know, undergraduate students know, especially the first week, there's very little to do. You don't have the exams coming up and things like that. So I could just devote time to that and nothing else. And so it was a very easy thing. That was one of the better decisions I made. Also the fact that I was able to make the presentation and it wasn't really half bad. So I thought, well, gee, maybe I should look into the idea of being a teacher. Well, then later on, I became a graduate student in the fall and started out, as most graduate students do, as a research assistant. The late Professor Henry Langhar was my advisor and mentor, very fine man. Anyway, after one semester, the department head came to him and to me and said, I need teaching assistants. At that time, engineering enrollment was going up very fast. This was in 1954, and engineering enrollment was really going up. And so he said, we need teaching assistants. Would you be willing to convert from research assistant to teaching assistant? Same pay and all, but I'd have to teach a couple of classes. Well, the two classes were two small sections. In those days, classes ran about 20 students. That was about it. And so I agreed to try it, and I did like it. I liked it very much. And so at the end of that semester, that was the end of my first year. I got a master's degree that summer. And so going again in the fall, I decided to start on a doctorate degree. And the department head then gave me a lesson in economics. He came and said, we really need teaching assistants. He said, you did a good job last semester. I'd like you to go full-time this time. He said, I'll do the following for you. He said, if you'll go full-time, that's twice as much work. He said, I'll pay you 3 times as much. So needless to say, I accepted the offer. And so for the rest of my graduate career, I was a full-time teacher rather than just half-time. I wasn't the only one. There were a number of others that did the same thing. But at that time, as I say, being a teaching assistant was really one of the most important things in the College of Engineering. Well, I got through that, and then I stayed on as a professor. Again, something that's not really done nowadays. Most universities don't hire their own graduates nowadays. But back then, with, again, engineering enrollment increasing so fast, the schools were desperate for more teachers, and if they forced their own to leave, that would mean they'd have to go out elsewhere and try to recruit some from elsewhere else. It was easier for them to simply encourage the ones that they wanted to just stay. And so that's what I did. And I started out as an assistant professor then in 1959 and then continued on from there. So I really liked the career. It was a wonderful career. I hope that the young people who are here today, I saw earlier with their awards, their achievements at that stage dwarfed anything that I could even begin to think of back when I was their age. I think now we should be very encouraged by seeing them here. But I hope that some of them do consider taking on a career in the education business. Nowadays, it isn't quite as much on teaching, it's more on research than teaching. It was both back then too, but the percentages were different. The main emphasis for professors, most of them, was on teaching, and research was a byline. And in fact, they had some professors who never taught at all. All they did was teach. They were hired as research professors in the first place. So it's just like hiring a person to work in a lab. They didn't really do any of the teaching. But now the young professors are expected to do everything. That is, teach, research, and the most important thing is sponsored research, and sponsored research to take the whole saw from the people in the housing business. But thank you very much. I am very encouraged by, say, the young people I saw here today, and I thank the Dean and the College of Engineering and for my wonderful career here in engineering at Illinois. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.